stand with me. The mayor's going to lead us in a prayer and pledge.
Please bow with me. Lord, thank you once again for the city that we live in. Thank you for giving us the honor to do your good work as we do on a daily basis. We ask that you watch over our citizens as they continue on a life and our staff as they continue to make our city as grand as what it is. We ask that you watch over our first responders, protect them and lay your hands on them on a daily basis. We ask that as we go through this summer season with a lot of travel, and families are traveling and vacations and that you watch over them and bring them home safely. We ask that all we do in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kathy, can you please call the roll?
Mayor Schuler.
here.
Bishop.
Here.
Carlisle. Avery.
Here.
Colfax.
Here.
Stewart.
Here. If anyone in the audience has something they'd like to speak about that is not on the agenda, you can please fill out one of these forms on this table up here and hand it in to Clerk Haley. We'll get to that later in the meeting. Mayor's report.
Don't have a lot to report on. Of course, this is the 4th of July week, so if you all want to do something Friday and it's not raining, come and see the fireworks. If not, it'll go Saturday. If not, we'll probably do it on Sunday, right?
Well, Saturday's the scheduled date, and
Saturday's the
Friday.
scheduled date? Oh, why don't we do it on Friday?
scheduled, it's as backup date.
Oh, okay.
Saturday's the scheduled
Say,
date,
where
it's
were
the
we
backup
last time?
date.
So, yeah.
But we need to let them know by 9 a.m. Right. Otherwise, I anticipate they'll go off. They may not go off at 9. They may go off at 9:15, 9:30.
Okay.
He usually waits.
All right. But also, the only other thing that I have is I'd like to give a big shout out to our finance department, Jared, and to our police department, Carlos, for what they've done here recently. We went after some appropriations for our new fire truck. It's $2 million fire truck. We had planned to get a loan and finance that. Jared and Harrison actually traveled to Tallahassee. Had a big push out there for it, and congratulations, because we were awarded $1.5 million for the fire truck. It was $1.5 million, went down I think $1.1 million, and at the end of it came back to $1.5 million. And then our radios also for the police department is right at 310,000 for the radios, which we also had planned to either take out of fund balance or finance. So, but thank you, Carlos, for all you've done, all you've raised, all you've done, and Jared and the finance department for what you guys have done to really help out the citizens and bring a lot of success to that. So congratulations. That's all I have.
All right. Council members' reports. Let's go.
No report.
Okay. Mr. Bishop.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hager.
Nothing.
Okay. Only thing I've got, I'm happy to see CDBG sub-grants on our consent agenda, which are another thing I'm happy you guys got. So those are for 2 playgrounds, Gabe White and Mary Tony Park, which will be really awesome to see those finally come to fruition.
750,000.
That's right. Big deal. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. If anyone on council would like to remove an item from consent agenda before we vote, you can do so now. Are there any questions from public on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, can you call the roll, please?
Bishop.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Colfax.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes. Okay, there is no old business, so we're going to move on to new business. Item number 10A, the audited financial statements.
Good evening, council. I'm pleased to announce the audit is complete. Yay! And I will let Julie go over the high points.
Good evening. I'm Julie Fowler with Clifton Larson Allen, and I'm here to present the summary of your audit for the year ending September 30th, 2024. So I've got some slides tonight. Up first is our disclaimer slide, just reminding you that this is very summarized, the information I'm presenting tonight, and to refer to the complete document that you'll be receiving probably next week with the holiday and the timing of the mail. that's what you should use to make financial decisions. So on the next slide, you see what the scope of the audit included, and that's a report on the financial statements themselves. We also look at internal control over financial reporting. There's certain matters we're required to report to you as the group charged with governance of the city. And then we also have your report on compliance with statutes for investment of public funds. So on the next slide are the summary of those reports. We've issued unmodified opinions on the financial statements and on your compliance with investment of public funds. So that's as good as you can get with auditing, is an unmodified report. On the internal control report, we did have one finding that we reported, and that was due to a large audit adjustment that we identified during the course of the audit. It was just the timing of when something was recorded between fiscal years. So the funds at the end of the day were received appropriately by the city. It was just an accounting error that we needed to report. On the next slide, you'll see the summary of our governance communications. There were no new accounting principles or policies adopted during the current year. Your financial statements do include estimates for your net pension and OPEB liabilities, as well as self-insurance. Those estimates are determined through consultation with actuaries that the city and pension funds have engaged, and we believe that they are appropriate estimates. We did not encounter any difficulties in performing the audit. Your staff is always very helpful in getting us all the information we need to complete our procedures. So up next, if you'll go forward a couple, we're going to hit some highlights of the financial information for the year. So the first is the trend of the general fund revenue and expenditures over the last 5 years. And we like to look at long-term trends because of the effects of things like grants and capital projects. What is the trajectory of the city over time? And looking at revenue, that orangish colored bar, you can see that the revenue does continue to trend upward. Really saw a significant increase in the ad valorem in fiscal year 2024. Expenditures are also increasing, but the largest expenditure increases that we saw were related to capital projects, fire truck and the Max Long improvement. So those are things that you've planned for and budgeted for. So it's not necessarily that your recurring costs are creeping up at an exponential pace or anything like that you should be alarmed about. So when we look at where the change in fund balance ended up for the year, you actually had a decrease in the general fund of about $418,000. So you're probably thinking that's not good. But when you look back at where the budget was, your final budget was to use about $2.7 million of fund balance, and you only used $418,000. So overall, that was a very positive result for the year. So the next slide shows where your fund balance ended up, and that's at about $11.2 million. The largest portion there is what's called unassigned, and that's the classification that you have the most discretion on how to use those funds. And that was about $8.8 million at the end of the year. So then on the next slide, you see, what does that look like as far as the trend and unassigned to assigned. We look at all kinds of calculations and looking at the health of the city. But overall, you have about 6 months of your expenditures available in your unassigned fund balance. So that is a very strong, healthy financial position for the city. Up next is the water and wastewater fund for the last 5 years. See the revenue continuing to increase as we would expect as you have new customers coming on and as the rates are increasing. That was about a $1.3 million increase in revenue from the prior year. Your expenses are also increasing, but did kind of level out from last year, so nothing unexpected there that we saw, giving you an overall increase in the net position of that fund of about $4.8 million. And then finally, the solid waste fund. This fund is where we saw the most significant increase proportionally in revenue, and that was up to $3.3 million, which was a very positive sign. We had talked in the past about this fund and the financial condition of it, but the increase in rates that were implemented really made a big impact here. And you also had some decreases in expenses due to the cost of fuel, repairs, things of that nature coming down, giving that fund an overall increase in fund balance of $870,000. So those are the highlights, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from public on this? Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Hey, Julie.
Thanks, Julie. Good report.
I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the audited financial statements for fiscal year ended September 30th, 2024 as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, can you call the roll, please?
Bishop,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Colacott,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes. All right, we're going to move on to item 10B. And I'm going to go ahead and open this public hearing.
For your consideration tonight is this public hearing on ordinance 1546, which is on your agenda for second final reading. That ordinance is entitled an ordinance amending the 2030 comprehensive plan of the city of Sebring, Florida. Said amendment being known as Amendment 25-01 CIE, specifically amending the adopted capital improvements element by updating the 5-year capital improvements plan, transmitting said amendment to Florida Commerce for information, and providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Okay. Scott, is Marissa here to go over that?
No, I gave her a pass.
Okay.
Heard it at our last meeting. Specifically, this does take our capital improvements plan and adopt a comprehensive plan from a planning perspective. If you've got any questions about the capital improvement plan itself, I would like Jared up to sum up and answer any of those questions.
Are there any questions from the public on this adoption of the capital improvement plan? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from council?
I move to approve ordinance 1546 as presented on second and final reading.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Kathy?
Bishop,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Colacott,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes. Okay, we're going to now move on to item number 12A. Proposed estoppel letter for 503 East Center Avenue final judgment payoff. Mr. Swain.
Yes, sir. As the AIS provides, the city and the owners of 503 East Center Avenue had a lawsuit. A final judgment resulted in favor of the city for $27,768.25. The now owner of that property wishes to sell it, pay the city the full face amount of the judgment, but not the interest that has accrued over the years. Happy to answer any questions you might have. What we're being asked for is an estoppel letter, meaning we would send a letter saying we will accept $27,768.25 in exchange for a full release of lien from that final judgment. Council is not required to do it, but certainly can if you'd like.
Any questions or comments from council on this? No. Anything from the public? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to accept the offer from Gingerly Michelindo for her to pay the city $27,768.25 on or before August 1st, 2025 in exchange for the city executing a release of lien for 503 East Center Avenue, Sebring, and authorizing the council president to execute an estoppel letter to that effect.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, please call the roll.
Bishop,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Colacott,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes. Okay, item 13A, project report. Mr. City Administrator.
Update for you. Everything remains as it was at the last meeting.
Okay.
Questions?
Anything new happening on Center?
SunTrust building. No, I think the next step will be to go out and put a roof on it.
Okay.
So should be bringing something to you at a future council meeting for roofing contract, and we can move on to air conditioning and the elevator.
The roof was based on the repair with a warranty or a full replacement?
So repair of the roof provided by the one vendor, if you will, that would actually write the spec for it. Was about $180,000. 180 to 200 was his estimate. A full replacement of the roof would be $600,000. around $600,000, and warranty on that's a 32-year warranty. The warranty on the roof for the repair would be a 10-year warranty, as I understood. But I'm happy to ask him to come and present if you like. What the plans for, would be. I think I forwarded all of you the literature that he provided, but I'd be happy to ask him to come back and present if you like.
I think I would be interested in hearing both first. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
No.
Okay. Last but not least, item 14A. Kathy.
Councilman Spring, payment of bills, please.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Bishop,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Overshaw.
Yes.
Yes. All right, this meeting is adjourned.